Not too long ago, I got a very special, confidential email in my inbox. An email so special and important that it might have just changed the course of history forever. An email so...
Just open it already.
I don't have fingers. I don't know how I'm supposed to... Hey, this might be a bit weird, but I keep dreaming of you killing me in increasingly convoluted... Wait, wrong one. Hello there, fish. We've been given the absolute honor of speaking with you today to inform you of a very special second season of Playdate games coming soon to a Playdate near you. For context, if you don't know, Playdate is this handheld console with a crank on the side. I made a game for it a little while ago. Here's the deal. Send us some info about your game, and we may just include you in there too. That sounds pretty cool. Being in a Playdate season is kind of a big deal, at least to me. A fair few developers I look up to were in the first season, so having a game I made in the second one right up beside those names would be pretty huge. My other projects have mostly just been me scrapping stuff together and seeing what happens, but here, that won't work. The first step in getting my game to panic is submitting a game pitch. Basically, I have to make a short slideshow with a couple slides going over the important details of the game in order to let them know what it is and why they should publish it without overloading them. This is called a pitch deck. So on that, introducing Sporestory. I'm not going to walk you through my entire PowerPoint, we've got a lot to go through beyond this. Basically, it's a quirky Undertale-esque RPG where you play as a mushroom. This is different from other RPGs because in those, you don't play as a mushroom. I put a couple development GIFs on the slide. Either way, the word sounds wrong. I need and it made it look all professional with my logo in the corner before sending it out into the world. Once that was done, they asked me to send a playable demo for them to try. I did take a summer class that happened to perfectly overlap with the exact time period I needed to make the game, but don't worry, I have a plan. This is my very professional mini project calendar. I tried to fill in whatever I needed to get done making and when in order to be able to submit the demo to Panic. That way, I stay on track with specific goals for each day, even as the 5 hours of chemistry per day slowly eat my soul away. Things started off strong in the first week. I finished a general story outline for the game, and I made some code for loading levels and controlling the player, just as the calendar prescribed. I also started working on mapping tools way earlier than written, because they're really helpful for prototyping and testing things out as they're added, and I'd like to at least get started on maps sooner rather than later. While I could just write out files for the game to load by hand, levels are loaded from JSON files, which are just a big bunch of data, and I don't like doing that. I've done it before, it's not fun. Here's a quick look at the mapping tools I made, just to give you an idea as to how they work. So there's the basic window here, but you got the tile map editor here, so you can grab tiles, place them, and if I click here, then it switches to object mode. So this is an entrance. I can place an entrance somewhere, and then it'll spawn the player on this. I can make as many as I need for different purposes. This is an item. There's only Apple right now. And then I can make a sign. This is basically just anything that you can talk to that just gives you a response and doesn't move. You can create triggers. So these just do something when the player walks into it. So you have to set an event, an enter and exit event. You don't have to set them, but you can. To create these events, you use the event editor window. You can make the camera go to a certain position. Then all you have to do is put the same name in here as a trigger. And then when you enter this orange box, it will run this event. Then lastly, there's battle areas, which aren't implemented yet. They don't do anything yet. When you're walking in these areas, then random encounters can happen. The next few days were pretty solid too. Whenever I thought of something else to add to the calendar, I added it. I made some pretty good progress in the starting areas, and I started putting out little pieces of the storyline with these broken signs on the walls. As you make your way through this area, the background music gets more complex and introduces more parts, until eventually you reach a silly guy? What does this guy think he's gonna do? I didn't have time to code a proper battle system, so I ended up just hard coding this battle. That's fine in this case because it's just for demonstration and you have to lose this one anyway, but definitely not for the full release. But now my calendar was looking a little bit more crowded, so stuff is definitely gonna have to pick up a bit in the next few weeks. What are you doing? We gotta get to work. We got a bunch of hats and hairdos, a title screen, I don't really know what this is. I'm just looking through all the video footage. It now properly saves your inventory and what room you're in whenever you quit the game. I also cleaned and polished stuff a lot where I could, and added these polka dots to the surfaces to make them look more mushroomy. At this point, school was getting pretty serious, so I crammed the rest of development into the last couple of days of the month, which maybe wasn't the best. Here's the demo. So you get this mysterious introductory text, and then it pans down to you in the mushroom room. You exit and you pick up this rock. This will be important later. These signs talk vaguely about how the mushroom people are made and how one was lost in the vacuum of space, never to be seen again. This will be important later. You walk through the hallway and make your way up to the silly guy who beats you in a pulp, and then when you wake up, he seems to have moved on. Oh, I really didn't do much here. Can I be honest about something? By this point, I didn't really want to work on this game. In fact, I hadn't for probably over a year. A few years ago, I showed off Sporestory in a Playdate Community Direct. This wasn't too long after putting out Rocket Bytes on the console, which people seemed to really like, so I felt like I had to show people I was working on something new. I worked for a while, into the summer of that year, before really losing motivation and school starting up and taking all my time anyway. Despite not wanting to work on the game by that point, I felt like I owed something to the people. There were a few comments on the placeholder itch page that were really nice but also made me feel wrong about stopping development. Because of that, when I got an email from Panic, I decided to try again, rebuilding it from scratch. I honestly kinda prefer the original one. It had some nice charm and the combat was kinda cool. I also had another project that didn't work out between versions there, this vaguely Portal-ish puzzle game where you control this robot who moves cubes and stuff, as well as some other games that I'm not gonna mention too deeply because I do want to go back to them someday. Point is, I was kinda down on the fact that I hadn't finished all of these other games, plus I felt like people were waiting on me, so I really wanted Sporestory to work out. Eventually, I saw this video by a friend, Jay the dev guy, which gave me some clarity. I do want my projects to work, but I needed to make some change, so I cancelled Sporestory and decided to move on. I tried a few other things after. I started by building a little platformer in Pico 8. I think it's really cute, and I'm especially proud of the subtle effects like the snow that you kick up when you run around. I didn't finish this one either, though I did have some fun. It didn't feel the best to leave this project here, but I have learned a lot of good things from all these games too. For one, I need to organize stuff better. Sporestory never really had a complete story, and as much as I think I can organize stuff clearly in my head, I can't. Generally having a clear scope is also something I've been working on a lot for my current project. I also realize I'm really quick to lock myself into things, especially if I've shown any part of it off. For a while, I even felt kinda iffy about changing the combat system in Sporestory from real-time to turn-based, because I didn't want to let all the hypothetical people down who had seen it before and were expecting the release to be just like this sub-pre-alpha. These are my projects, and while I do want people to enjoy them, I also need to enjoy making them. It's pretty clear when someone didn't enjoy making something. Even if I don't have a finished game to show you right now, I'm still not too sad about what I've done all this time. I'm infinitely better of a game designer, programmer, and musician than I was last week and the week before. It sucks to have to move on from something you sunk so much time into, but sometimes I think it's probably for the better. Plus, I think it's time for a change of scenery anyway.
Hey, you're not ready to leave yet. Get back here!
Hey, hi, it's this time of the day. Thank you for watching the video. I've rewritten this part, at least partially, this video like 4 times by this point. So I could have done some things better, some things worse, but I just want it to be over. Yeah, thank you to people on Patreon for being there. You can do that too if you want. I don't care. I just want to go to bed. Do all the YouTube things, like and subscribe and stuff. And yeah, good night.